Oh, light up your life achievement. Nice. Remember that part in Ghosts? Where you're like, oh, that glass totally broke in such a way that it looks like a guillotine. And then it is used as one. Hey, guys. At least they're polite and they leave their shoes. Dude, if this is not a reference to Spirited Away, I don't know what is, because they're doing the actual moment. I'm stuck on nothing? Oh, they wanted me to wait for the things to come around the corner. They're doing the moment when No Face chases you around, only it's a whole bunch of people instead of one. What a wild scene. Hey, what's up? You'll just have to go back to eating all your other food. Oh, is that the hat that the first guy had? The Arms Man? Maybe Arms Man's gonna make a comeback now. Go through? Thank you. The wave art in the background is a reference that they've modified to an incredibly influential piece of Japanese work that I now don't remember the name of anymore. It was like the Great Wave or something like that. And they added the ship in the middle of it. Is this supposed to show that, like, we're all dependent on each other in a sort of parasitic symbiosis? No, you could have eaten the sausage! I didn't even know what those were. They were my only friends, and I choose to eat them? Why do I eat the only thing that loves me? Oh, something got left in the fish hatch. No, it's not for me, I guess. There she is. Now, first we gotta go this way, though, because this is the way they don't want you to go. Yeah, that's right. Get wrecked. Hey, if you hugged more, you would have taken the sausage? Oh, you're right, maybe. Alright, it's time to hit the eye elevator door. Who knows what's through here, but it's not gonna be good. I'm ready. I'm ready for anything. Even nothing. I'm also ready for that. The guest area, achievement unlocked. Have you seen Koe no Katachi, A Silent Voice? I don't think so, no. What's that about? Just want to slide through some glass for a second. What's up with these dressers always letting you climb slightly, but not any further than that? Oh, cool painting. That's pretty ominous. Really pretty artwork in a grotesque way. Oh yeah, I totally agree. The art design of this is definitely, in my opinion, the coolest bit. I've had some issues with the controls throughout. I'm starting to get more accustomed to them now. But I don't know that they telegraph particularly amazingly every instance that you can interact with something. Okay, there's another lock. Oh, we can see through it, though. I mean, that is part and parcel with horror games, though, or atmospheric action, dark, macabre. I don't know. You put some labels on it. Whatever you call this genre, sort of goes a little bit with the idea that the player should be slightly out of control of the character you play as, because it just makes things scarier. Sorry, I'm interrupting a nice moment here. But I want the doll. Hugger or no balls? You know, to be honest, I really like the eye motif as well. Oh look, it's the girl from The Ring. How'd she get in there? You never know who's gonna show up in these things. Am I supposed to infuriate her so I can get to the doll? No more singing for this one. What? Oh. Sneaky, sneaky. Maybe her ability is going to be that she turns invisible and then she points at you and screams and orange lights show up. Or maybe she's on the ceiling. You never know. Those Asian horror ladies, they like to hang out on the ceiling and they do weird stuff with their hair a lot. There's a key. Well, I gotta get this first. Hang on. Whee! Oh, I didn't even notice it in there. Gonna be hidden with the mannequins. We will see. I'm gonna get around the fast way, which is to pick up and throw this key. No, I'm kidding. Just do a little bit of this. Yeah, which mannequin is she gonna be? These mannequins have me panicking. Not really, though. In the closet? Behind the door? I see there's a hidden one behind there, but no. Okay, in this case, I kind of like that I can look down ahead of myself. That's a good hop with the key there. Okay. Lots of suspense. You gotta have it. I'm just gonna, like, do that. With all that Resident Evil 7 I played... Oh, it put out my lighter. The mannequins were at times the only thing that actually got to me. But not necessarily for any really great reason. Oh, she just levitates you, huh? Oh, good sound. That was very Japanese horror. The mannequins would often just, like, fall over, like, fall out of the ceiling. And that kind of thing actually would catch me off guard every so often. I don't think you can probably hide here. I think this is just like a run and then slide kind of thing. Yeah. They gotta set it up so the dust can come through. I don't blame them. Getting dusted is hard to do. What is automanophobia? I don't know that one. Easy peasy Japanese. Yeah. Me trying to predict these things, by the way, it shouldn't be taken as cynicism. It's just more like a game I play with myself. These tropes are not necessarily even worn out. I just try to pick up on them as much as possible because I just find that fun to do. Oh, it's the fear of human-like figures. Okay. Very tense over here for sure. Was I supposed to hang out in that room more? It seemed like that was too easy to get through. Oh, gotta break that. No? Thought that was a mirror. It is a mirror. Oh, maybe it's the only unbroken mirror, right? So maybe I use that to do something. Okay, that explains why I could get through this room so easily. You hold the mirror out in front of you and then she can't get you, maybe? It's completely pitch black. Did she get me? I guess she got me. I don't really know. Well, clearly that thing is the key to success, because it's on a little pillow. You don't put something on a little pillow unless it's very important. I know that because of my own head. If I were to list the top 10 things that I put on a pillow, my own head is absolutely number one. Okay, so is this a sneaky moment, or is this like a reaction moment? What is this moment? Let's find out. Let's try sneaky moment. See if it's triggered by a... Oh. I think that was a vertex. The light is centering here. Oh, stay in the light! That's probably what it is. I went too far to the right, didn't see the light, and then I died. Oh yeah, number 2, a pillowcase. Yeah, and it's definitely number 2, because you could still get away with putting your head on a non-pillowcased setup. I don't necessarily recommend it, but, you know, I'm not gonna judge. It's your life, it's your pillow. Okay, so the light's gonna go on. Go stand in the light. It'll probably reflect something, or maybe it'll allow me to see her when she's disappeared. We'll find out in a sec. The light was like, yeah, right over here. Ah, there we are. Oh, cool effect. She doesn't like that. Okay, light fades, and now we go where? Yeah, we gotta go a little bit over to the right then. Now, if I wanted to be tricky, I would have come from the other side. But they give you plenty of time to react, so it's all fine. She's like a Medusa, kinda. Something's wrong with her Medusa oblongata. Coming from left, right, center. Where are we coming from? Oh! Oh, you're tricky! Lucky for you, so am I. I'm just as tricky, if not maybe slightly more. That's the 3 times. 3 times is usually the key, not in this case, though. We got a special attack plan for number 4. You know, you're circling your prey like a sneaky snake, or a sneaky shark, for that matter. Like a shark in the tank. Easy. Oh, we staying in the same place? 2-stage attack. No one saw this coming. We're going for 3? You gotta pick up the mirror, man. So close, and the mirror shattered. It's all over. But now that the mirror is shattered, does that make me vulnerable? Or does that make her vulnerable? I feel like I'm supposed to go over to her. I can't walk any faster than this. I want that lump. What is that thing on the right? Is it a mask? Is it a shard of glass? Is it a weird space coconut? Is it a pillow? Is it the top 10 things you could put on a pillow? No, it's not. It's nothing at all. Oh my god, I'm gonna eat the lady. I myself am the little nightmare. The nightmares become me. Oh my god. This is wild. Do I get to see my face now? Is it just like a hole into the space-time continuum? It just went black. At the mouth of madness. Is it time to get my revenge and eat everyone who tried to eat me? Cool. Oh, it's my turn to pop all the lights. You ain't seen nothing yet. Try it. Oh, she just kills them straight away. Yeah, I'll take your soul, and your soul, and your soul. Title drop indeed. Thank you, Gab Trunks, for the 10 months. Oh, we get to see what's behind the eye door. Awesome soundtrack right there. This is like legitimately haunting. I like it. Oh, that's a hell of a scene. Cool. Have I just been unleashed upon the world? What is this? I'm the last mutant to escape one of the secret vaults in the Nevada desert. Are we still on the boat? Uh-oh. Hey, it's the buddies. Are you the ones I rescued or what? Little mini pyramid heads. Oh, I thought he was gonna take his hat off. Okay, next New Game Plus mode, I get to play as the buddies. Interesting. That's one of the very rare creepy atmospheric horror games that got a lot more interesting as it proceeded instead of a lot less. Next game, you eat the gnomes and hug the sausages. That was a I wanted to say it was a mixed bag, but I mean, compared to 95% of the things I call a mixed bag, I don't think it's really doing it much service to group it in with some of those things. And if you take something like Outlast 2 and then you put this up against it, Outlast 2 is like barely even worth considering. Which is, I know that's like really mean to say, but at the same time it lacked so much in vision. This one had vision. It's a bag of some description. Yeah, the controls were definitely rough. I would have been happier with a little less kind of awkward, stealthy stuff, but that's what they wanted it to be, so fair enough. I mean, you're not going to get a 100% match for everybody's taste, no matter what you do. Which do you think is better, helpless horror games or aggressive horror games? I think they both have their place in the right context. Depends how they're made, depends on the exact way that it comes together. The thing about it is, it's not quite as cut and dry as one is helpless and one isn't. What you usually lack when you lack the ability to damage or kill your enemies is, or what you gain rather, not lack, is when you can't damage or kill your enemies, you usually make up for it in player autonomy and ability to hide or like sneak around or be stealthy or agile. Usually. Sometimes it fails in execution. And when you do the opposite, when it's a game that's geared around killing enemies, you usually lack subtlety, right? So a little bit of both is probably the ideal. But the trick is to make the player feel helpless at times and empowered in other ways, so they don't just feel like the entire game is just them being subjected to just an endless barrage of, you're gonna die, you're gonna die. Like, there's more to horror than that. It is, granted, one of the highlights of horror, but there is that moment that we got at the end of this, where you go, oh, okay, there's a turn. Something twists up at the end a little bit. And the horror games and horror as an idea tends to play a lot off of that sort of a karmic balance, kind of a justice feeling, where the reason horror takes place in most of the cases, it's because someone did something that they deserved to be tormented, or in the case that they didn't deserve to be tormented, it either corrupts them entirely and they become something entirely different, in which case there's sort of a lost cause, or they just get killed, or they end up overcoming something, if it's like a metaphorical horror, that allows them to find fulfillment or justice or balance in some other element in their life. So there's different things that interplay together to make horror really work, and I feel like most of the time video games don't get it, unfortunately. I think most of the time movies don't really get it either. But when it comes together, you know it does, and it feels great. And this one, I was leaning at first towards it maybe not having those traits, but then, you know, at the end, they got me. I'm in. This was well done. And in the moments that it lacked, they made up for it in visual polish. I think really the biggest issue I had was the controls, and that was largely the only thing worth really commenting on, other than personal preference stuff, like I said, with the stealth. That makes sense? Horror is also about how you feel. You're not sweating, your skin is clammy, and damn, someone isn't behind you, you hear a footstep, breath on your neck. Right, and that's sort of the way they play with your mind. But for them to successfully play with your mind, there needs to be a set of rules that's established and stuck to. And I feel like so often, the writing in horror games tends to be such that they don't want to stick to a certain set of rules. Because it's just sort of, it's either inconvenient for the scenario they want to set up, some specific scripted event. It just kind of doesn't work. And that set of rules has to be kind of sacred for the whole thing to feel like a cohesive project at the end, and instead of sort of a fragmented bunch of moments that end up together under a single header. Really liked Inside, but goddamn, this is done so much better. Yeah, they're very different experiences in a lot of ways. I didn't like the way Inside finished, but I like the gameplay mechanics to it largely. I like this puzzles, I guess. They were light puzzles, to be fair, in Inside. It wasn't anything particularly complicated. Towards the end, there were maybe 2 or 3 that were like, okay, that was kind of clever. This game didn't have much in the way of particularly clever puzzles. They didn't really reward exploration all that much. Maybe to a small degree they did. I would have preferred a lot more freedom in that respect, and I think in some ways Inside maybe did that a little better. And they both had great atmosphere, but I'd much prefer this atmosphere over Inside. It feels much more immediate. It feels more engrossing, feels more elaborated on. Like, there's more of a... Well, maybe it's again, it's just personal subjective preference, but it felt more polished in a way when they work with scale to that degree. And they did plenty of that in Inside, don't get me wrong. I think just subjectively I enjoyed this approach a little more. It was more colorful as well, which is, again, completely subjective, but... Curious to go listen again through it if there was more soundtrack toward the beginning that I didn't pick up on. Sometimes your senses get a little overwhelmed with all that's happening and you kind of disregard some of the background ambience. But the soundtrack that they've pushed to the forefront rather, has been fantastic. Right on par with the visual stuff too. Like, it's really good. Oh, hey, thank you very much, Fifth Matt, for the 1,000 bits. Says, oh yeah, I forgot I can cheer here. Appreciate it. Little Nightmares is using Ponchon fonts. Very rare that you see them attribute their fonts at the end. That's a nice touch. Little Nightmares is Unreal 4, Inside was not. Well, yeah, but that's not exactly what I mean. It's, Oh, hello. Well... There's always a man, there's always a lighthouse. These are the constants. Can I... Oh, I can't control anything here. Okay. How funny that I get this immediately after finishing BioShock Infinite the other day. But yeah, there's not necessarily a correlation between just saying directly the engine is this, so the game would be expected to be that. Visual polish can be elaborated on in about a million different ways. Coming up with a cohesive art style, which this game definitely has, and Inside also definitely has. Again, it can be night and day. You can compare something with an art style like Mega Man and say you just feel like it's more polished or cohesive than something like Inside. I mean, there's an argument to be had that obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but one would probably be preferable to more people than the other. But it's all subjective, and so there's not really a reason to get super far into it. I just like this look a bit more. And you can do some great work with Unity, you can do some great work with Game Maker even. Just depends on how you approach it and what your goals are for making an art style that actually works together in all facets. And when I say all facets, I mean like the typography, the UI design, the lighting design, the way you approach specific instances of lighting, you know, the cinematography kind of elements to things. All of that comes together to form an art style, even if you don't really realize it at the time. I mean, to a degree, you could even argue that, well, maybe not just to a degree, to a large degree even, the musical ambience sets the stage in a very big way that helps. It kind of gives you some notes that are like, oh, this is kind of quirky at this moment, or this is kind of forlorn at this moment. And then the art and the lighting play into that. So it's never as simple as just saying, well, this engine does this, so it's better. You got to consider all those attributes, you know? I'm not missing that I can do something here, right? No. It really feels like I'd be able to control that character or something, but no, can't. So yeah, I asked earlier, does this have an underlying message? And I like that I can't necessarily tease that apart immediately, but also it's not so obtuse that it feels like I'll never be able to. Again, I'm sorry for the overwhelming amount of inside references, but that was one of my arguments, was that I just really didn't like the direction they took the end of Inside. I didn't really follow it. Granted, again, subjective, you may love it, and that's fine. And it seems like most people that I talk to do love it. But it just kind of fell apart for me towards the end. Great animation, don't get me wrong, the visual presentation towards the end was actually great. And some of the puzzles using that other form of your character, kind of interesting stuff. But I think I preferred this. It was a bit more straightforward in a useful way. The animalistic nature of mankind. Ooh. If you notice the paintings in the woman's room at the end, I think they were of your character. The girl seems to have been the woman's daughter who is cast away into the depths of the ship. It's implied by the mirrors that the woman was disgusted by her reflection and maybe envied her daughter. Huh. I saw this video pointing out that every time you eat out of frame, there's a pitch black version of yourself watching you, which you can move your camera to see. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. I guess on a superficial level, the thing that does stick out to me theme-wise that I find interesting is just that, and it's a very obvious thing, but the fact that you play as the thing that you expect to be the prey, but ends up being the hunter. I mean, they play on this idea, little nightmares, as if this is like going on in a child's dreams or something. You feel so fragile through the whole game, and they very much go out of their way to reinforce that concept. And it's, I guess, pretty easy to subvert that, considering there's so many other instances of a character, or of a game story being told straight in that way, that you don't think this is the thing that would be up for debate about what the theme is going to be. So, yeah, I like that idea. And I could see that there would be some other angles to take this to, some other ways to approach what's going on here through a second playthrough. Now you have that information, like, look at it a little more carefully. Maybe there's something else to see. I don't know. Little Nightmares 2, even littler. Well, yeah, of course, this is one of those situations where you can't really pull that same twist again. And if you did, well, I mean, you'd have to go in knowing the player knows it, so you'd have to subvert it in an even more original or different way. I think all the mirrors are broken because mirrors kill her. Well, then you have to get into what's a metaphor and what's literal in the story. And I don't know if we have enough actual information to tease that out, really. Sequel might not be the best idea. Yeah, I would probably agree with that. Unless you can find a cool way to do it. So somebody said that there's possibly more gameplay coming. How do you pull that off? And also, to what degree does that make sense? Is it DLC? Is it just a patch? Just curious what the chapter selection ended up being. Is it 4 chapters? Oh, that's cool. They're all little set pieces. 5 chapters. So you got leeches, long arms, the butchers, the eaters, and the hair lady. So each one has its own enemy of sorts. The leeches, though, don't seem like anywhere near on the same level. I guess this is more about platforming in cages and that kind of thing. It's just to give you a sense of the character's controls. I think my favorite chapter was probably the diners. The last two, actually, were probably both my favorite. I think the game actually almost went in exact opposite order for how much I enjoyed parts of it. So I think I enjoyed it the least at the beginning, and each succeeding chapter, or yeah, each following chapter was better. Which is kind of an interesting way to approach things. I mean, not obviously that they intended it to be taken that way, but you get to the end of it and you're like, oh, that was actually really cool. Instead of being like, oh, that was a long game. It was pretty much just the right length. The one way that maybe I could have been okay with it being slightly longer is if they did one more chapter where you have your powers, like you've come to be who you are and you, I don't know, wander around killing everything, but then I guess that would be even more like Inside. They at least let you have that moment at the very end for just a moment or so. Yeah, 3, 4, 5 seemed much better than 1, 2. Now do a speedrun. Nah, that's fine. I don't really want to do that. Every time I look over at my freaking internet, it's red box again. Well, I hope they'll be able to sort that out for me soon, so I don't keep running into that. Well, anyway, that's my playthrough of Little Nightmares. I hope you enjoyed it. That was an unexpectedly nice surprise. I say unexpectedly because even though I went in with fairly high expectations, which I don't recommend ever doing with games, usually a problem, I started to get a little bit sad about it because I was getting bored by Arms Man. Then we cut his arms off and moved on, things picked up, and by the end it was actually not a 180 flip, but like much better. Seemed short? Oh, I'd much prefer a short game that gets its point across than an overly long game that's tedious. Especially when it comes to horror games, because it's very easy for the gameplay loop of a horror game to get very, very boring very quickly. There's only so many ways to scare people, and if you don't have the assets for it, if you don't have the ambience for long enough, the magic wears away. How long did it take to complete? I think it was about 3 hours, give or take, 20 minutes or so. Anyway, I think most people are taking off at this point, so I suppose I will bid you adieu for now. But thank you everybody for watching, as always.